In College World Series, Texas and Fullerton, the Longhorns have a 2-0 lead. Dave Ryan back outside the Fullerton dugout. This year, the Cal State Fullerton coaches and players brought this empty water bottle, but when it got here, it actually had some infield dirt and some pitching mound dirt from Goodwin Field back in Cal State Fullerton's campus, their home field. Brought it here to sprinkle on the mound here at Rosenblatt Stadium to try to continue the tradition they've done year in and year out. A little bit of magic, maybe a little bit of good karma bringing it from Southern California to here in Nebraska. Hoping that'll work here at the College World Series. We'll see if it does.
Dave, they have every trick in the book, don't they?
They got it down. I mean, jeepers.
Between normal baseball superstitions and their sports psychologist that works with them. All the signs, the posters, the banners.
Hey everybody, Brian Kane back with you. In that first clip that you saw with Dave Ryan and ESPN with the Cal State Fullerton baseball team and that water bottle full of dirt that they had from their bullpen mound at Goodwin Field on the campus of Cal State Fullerton, that they brought with them to Omaha in the College World Series. Why would they do that? Well, it's about preparation. You see, the way that you compete every day in practice should be with the same level, the same intensity that you're going to use in a national championship if you structure practice and preparation the right way. So they bring that water bottle from the bullpen, sprinkle it on the mound at the College World Series with the thought being, hey, we're doing the same thing that we do every day. Nothing changes. We compete as hard as anyone in the country in the bullpen to throw strikes, to pound the zone, and that's what we're going to do here. Nothing changes. I've seen it with hockey teams. They'll take the snow, the shaved ice off their home rink, sprinkle it on the rink where they're going to play as this ritual to say it's the same thing we do every day. You see, with preparation, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. Failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So how can we make practice more game-like? Well, a couple things you can do. Find a way to bring in umpires when you scrimmage. Find a way to use the scoreboard. What are some different things that you can do to structure that workout session so that it's as game-like as possible? Using the scoreboard, videotaping, different colored t-shirts with practice uniforms. There's a bunch of things you can do. Having a scoring system other than, let's say baseball, for example, a scoring system other than people just touching the plate. If you throw a good competitive fastball, your team gets a point. If you sacrifice someone over, your team gets a point. If you make a good defensive play, your team gets a point, and it's on the scoreboard, so we're rewarding those things as a part of the process that will help us to get that desired outcome. Now, you know John Wooden, the legendary basketball coach at UCLA that we've talked about. John Wooden, in his book, A Lifetime of Observations and Reflections on and Off the Court, his players would say that the practices were so competitive, that we were moved so fast in practice. Coach was always asking us to be quick but don't hurry, that we would get into games and the games would slow down. So I hear a lot of coaches say, oh, we got to step up. We're going to step up. It's a big game. One of the worst things you can do is step up. There is no stepping up. It's doing what you do every day. It's identifying this is who we are as a program. This is what we do and we're at our best. Now let's do that every day in practice so when we get into a game, we can do what we do every day. There's no stepping up. No stepping up at all. One of the worst things you can do. So as a coach, as a team, find some ways that you can make your practice more competitive and more game-like. From an individual preparation standpoint, I've given you an hourglass. And that hourglass is a reason, how would I say this? The hourglass is a sort of program, you can use, or a philosophy you can use to help you to get more prepared for that day. Every one of you watching this is either a student and an athlete. If you're a professional athlete, you've got that, and then you've got your family, and we've got all those things going on. Well, how do we separate between the two? Well, let's use Superman as an example. Right? He goes into the phone booth as this guy, Clark Kent, super nerd, and he comes out as this guy, Superman, by changing his clothes, changes his mentality. And it's the same thing I want you to do. Think about the hourglass. When does practice start? Well, practice starts right when I'm done with class. I'm done with class, I come to the gym, and now practice starts for me. Well, before I go in that locker room, the one thing I want you to do to symbolize I'm shifting from student into athlete is take out your cell phone, turn it off. And when you turn off that cell phone, that's the sign that I'm shifting my mentality to being the ultimate athlete. Nothing else is going to distract me. Because many of us, we never turn our cell phones off. So when you do, that means it's probably a pretty special thing. And we got to treat practice and games like that they are something special, because we don't get to play this game forever. So to turn the cell phone off, we go in the locker room, I take off the shirt, there's the test I failed, I take off the pants, there's a person that turned me down on a date, take off the shoes, there's the issue I'm having at home, and I leave all that baggage and all those mental bricks in the locker. And then I start putting on my practice gear, start putting on those socks, putting on those shorts, putting on those pants, that shirt. Feel myself getting bigger, getting stronger, getting more focused, getting locked in for having a great practice that day. And then the last thing I do, much like the gladiator here, who bends down, picks up the dirt, drops the dirt as a sign that it's now on and I'm into what I'm doing, nothing else in the world matters. You go down, you tie your shoes, or you have that last point. Right, that last thing that you walk through that symbolizes I'm now in the center of my hourglass and it's on. Rod Delmonico, baseball coach at the University of Tennessee, would paint an orange line going from his clubhouse into his dugout. And when you cross that orange line, nothing else mattered other than Tennessee baseball. And when you go back across that line, think about whatever you want. But we're on this side of the line, Tennessee baseball is all we're doing. So you go through, and then in practice, you have those in-game releases and refocuses and routines. So it's not a straight hourglass. It's more you come in, out, in, out for the whole activity, and then you come out. So on that inside is what we call our pre-pitch or in-game routines. And I'm going to show you those when we talk about routines in our next segment. But we've talked about how to prepare, you get ready, you go in-game routines, which is our next video. Well, how do you let it go? How do you let go of those mental bricks? Or how do you flush it? And let me show you a quick video. University of Vermont hockey team and head coach Kevin Snedden talking about how they flush bad games. And they also have things that they use to flush bad periods and bad shifts in hockey.
And he told us earlier this week, he said, I have a miniature foam toilet in the dressing room that I pass around when we have a bad game. I ask each of my players to flush the game down the toilet and move on. The visual works quite well, and there it is. And that sound you're hearing according to Matt McConnell.
Earlier this season, a 9-1 loss to BU at the Gut may have been the low point of the season for the Catamounts. Kevin Snedden and his staff didn't panic. His team found a winning identity. The Catamounts finished up their slate, going 10-4-4 to secure home ice in the Hockey East playoffs. A combination of freshmen coming up big in key situations. A sophomore lighting the lamp to lead the team in goal scoring. And a #1 goaltender returning to form for the stretch run.
So you can see they pass around that toilet, flush it, let it go. Now how do you release those bricks or flush your bad performance? Well, same thing. I challenge you when you come in the locker room. You have a little peak performance notebook. You take it out, you write down, okay, what did I learn today to make me better? What do I need to work on based off of today's performance? You write those things down. You write down your goal for your next workout, anything else that you learned. You close that book, you put it in your locker, and that's the start of you coming out of that hourglass. You then take off the shirt, there goes the error I made. You take off the pants, there's coach who got on me. You take off the shoes, there's the fan who was all over me. And you let go of that stuff, you take a shower, you wash off those blood, sweat, and tears. You put your street clothes back on, you pull out your cell phone, you turn that cell phone back on, and now you are the student. Now you're the social person, now you're out of athletics. Because one of the worst things you can do is carry those mental bricks and be thinking about school or social scene when you're at sport, or thinking about sport when you're in school or in the social scene. Be where you need to be when you need to be there. Be where you need to be when you need to be there in that present moment. And a lot of that is due to preparation. See, there's a lot of athletes who've got tremendous ability, but they don't know how to prepare. So once in a while that ability shows up, sometimes it doesn't. Early on we talked about the best athletes don't allow their feelings to dictate their actions. They let their actions dictate their feelings. Well, by having a preparation routine that you go through, regardless of how you feel, you do the same thing. By doing that same thing, you're going to get into a consistent starting point. And getting into that consistent starting point is the foundation for giving you a consistent performance. So remember that failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Remember that game-like practice and finding a way to compete every day, whether it's using crowd noise or putting the hamburgers versus filet mignon on the outcome of the game, whatever. Find a way to make it competitive, because great athletes, they don't need a lot to compete. As long as they're out there, they're not competing with anyone but themselves, and they're competing with themselves for excellence, which is to be at their best every single day. So use this hourglass, start finding routines you can use to prepare, to get yourself ready for sport, and then also to let go of that day's performance so you can get on with the rest of your life. We'll be talking to you in the next session about routines for in-game performance. Until then, start using your hourglass, and we'll see you at the top of that peak performance mountain, because you're taking personal responsibility in your daily excellence.